Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. It's that time of day where we take a moment and pause and say thanks to everyone who's making the world run. Let's start with the men and women in the military, police officers, firefighters, doctors, nurses, lab technicians, hospital orderlies, small business owners, restaurateurs, truck drivers, everyone working at the grocery stores and fast food joints, the Port of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Oakland and Union Station, the pilots and flight attendants. Let's listen to the national anthem.
Giving you the day's headlines with the right context. It's the John Phillips Show.
And a very happy Tuesday to you at 12:06 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
How cool is this? We got a message on our YouTube feed from Shadows V8. It's 5 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. So worth rising early. Johnny, we're doing mornings in Australia.
That's the only way I'd ever do mornings again.
We are broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC in Southern California and 810 KSFO in the Bay Area. But we are also broadcasting live on YouTube, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. If you cannot find that link, you can go to KABC.com or KSFO.com, click on the button of Johnny and I, and you'll find it. Or you can email us, and I'll send you the direct link of today's show at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. We're also broadcasting live on Facebook at KABC Radio, Facebook at KSFO, 810 KSFO, X at Johnny Don't Like, and Twitch at Randy Wang Radio. We're here for you all day from 3 o'clock. If you watch the YouTube stream, you get to see us, react to the stories with us, and play around in the chat room, which is already lively on this Tuesday.
And earlier today, we recorded this week's edition of the Accountability Podcast, which is interesting, Randy, because the topic that we did, which is something that for many of you who listen to us all through COVID is going to be extremely cathartic. It's Barbara Ferrer getting cursed out by a room full of very sick, very angry people in Boyle Heights. But there was so much swearing in both English and in Spanish that there is no way we could do this topic on the radio, which is governed by the rules of the FCC. We had to do it in a podcast forum, and that's how we did it. So you're going to be able to hear a room full of people tell Barbara Ferrer exactly what they think of her.
Wash your hands often and always before eating and after toileting.
It is delicious. It goes up at midnight tonight. You will be able to watch it tomorrow. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@accountability podcast. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. If we can get that feed up to 1,000 subscribers, we're at 810 right now. This week, we're going to premiere a very special video on top of the podcast that we're already doing, which is a video slideshow representation of the famous call, Kathy from Malibu, where she starts talking about John and Madonna and Martha Stewart. We will premiere that video live on the radio the second that we get to 1,000 subscribers at youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. If you cannot find that link, email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Casey writes in on YouTube, I can't for the life of me understand why she still has a job.
But at the end of the day...
Not only does she have a job, she has a very well-paying one.
Jeff writes in.
Next slide.
And Brian writes in saying, I miss the scam-demic. I'll tell you, the one thing I miss about those days, and I look fondly, it only took me 20 minutes to get to the radio station every day.
That was the one good thing.
Yeah.
800-222-5222 is telephone number 1-800-222-5222. Well, we know that squatters have become a problem here in the state of California. In fact, at one point in the past, we talked to a man whose job it was to evict squatters from properties that they didn't belong in. We know that squatters can cause owners to do crazy things. I mean, let's not forget what OJ ended up doing after Kato Kalin just wouldn't leave his house.
What's going on, America?
OJ's getting like a reference every single day on this show.
You know, he may be dead, but his legacy will live on, at least here.
And he'll definitely get a mention on Thursday's show because Royal's going to be on.
Oh, we're going to talk about OJ.
But squatting is back in the news, and Matthew Seedorf is on the case.
So what I typically do now to promote our show is I put up all of these silly graphics. You've seen them rotating during the breaks. And I also push them out on Instagram, and I push them out on Facebook. And Matthew Seedorf and I follow each other on Instagram. I love his reporting. He occasionally will listen to the show. And he responded to the picture that I put up of us in the squatters with some eyeball emojis. And I said, yep, we're starting off with your story. To which then Matthew Seedorf decided he was going to play around with the AI generation. And he took the photo that we made and he made his own very special version of it. And it almost looks like John has a neck tattoo in this one.
Oh, yeah. No, I look like I've done some time.
But let's find out what's going on with even more squatters taking over even more homes in the city of Los Angeles. Here is Fox 11 and our buddy, Matthew Seedorf.
Began with a house fire allegedly sparked by squatters. Now it's become a dumping ground in the East Hollywood community.
Remember last year when there was that squatter fire that burned down a building and the neighbor said they were doing all kinds of things there. They were doing drugs. They were dealing with prostitution. They were shooting snuff films. Not totally convinced she knew what snuff films were.
I think you're probably right.
Is Matthew Seedorf. Is there live with a story you'll only see on Fox.
I'm shocked. Seedorf in a dangerous situation.
Well, at least this time he's not inhaling any dangerous fumes.
Well, it was a burned down house.
That's true.
Just wait. You haven't seen the story.
Matthew.
Well, Christine, this is what's left of that burned out property. It's a mess. It looks like it's hardly been touched in these 4 months, except for those dropping trash off.
Wait a second. This was the home that got burned down by squatters 4 months ago, and it's just turned into a giant rotting pile of trash.
Well, you have two options if you want to just dump your trash. You could do it at this location, or you can drive up to Oakland.
And now squatters are moving in.
Well, this was my dining area.
An exclusive look inside what's left of a family's home destroyed by fire.
They came, they trespassing, paid this.
Now repeatedly taken over by squatters.
And looks like taggers, too.
Yeah, I don't think that mural was there when that guy was living there.
I have to constantly come and keep people out, and I even got threatened today that I was going to get jumped because this is in my home.
Wait, these people are threatening you at your own burned down house?
Yeah, that they don't want me to come in.
Cell phone video from Monday appears to show squatters walking away.
Someone blamed me today.
Leaving a nitrous oxide box inside.
So they're doing NOS Whip It hits inside the burned out building?
Apparently, it's the party crowd.
Graffiti, trash, and on the street, used condoms.
Oh, no.
Well, maybe Barbara Ferrer got to him.
Here's the thing, and it was a question that the audience posed to us when we did. This is another Seedorf story. The prostitution-filled homeless encampment in Larchmont Village. What the condoms tell you is not that the squatters are practicing safe sex. What the condoms tell you is that this is a den of prostitution.
Well, who can look at a site like this and have any erotic feelings at all? Where you're just looking at piles of trash, you're looking at graffiti, you're looking at the remnants of what was a massive fire, and you look around at a bunch of people on drugs and you go, this is all making me horny.
John, I'm going to do you a favor, and I am not going to use that as a drop on this show.
I appreciate that.
People trespassing property. Today we have a gangs people here.
Homelessness and people like that were the cause of my home being burnt. You know?
Yeah, if you don't remember this story, this guy's house burned down because the squatters burned down the house next door, and they lost 3 dogs in that fire.
These people have won the lottery you don't want to win.
And to see that the city still doesn't do anything and no one really cares.
It's not just Boyle Heights that gets ignored. It's also downtown L.A.
4 months ago, a huge fire ripped through Pastor Juan Galisa's home, killing their 3 dogs.
Everything was here is gone.
They spent months warning the city about squatters living at the abandoned property next.
This is a man of God that we're treating like Job. See, I can do Bible references.
It sounds like he has the patience of Job.
door, the same property where the fire is believed to have started. Now they say the same problems have returned.
People come and dumping, people sleep there, they have sex there.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Well, that would explain the condoms.
There seems to be some kind of thrill about doing it on a burned out pile of garbage, but I don't understand that kink. Is that an abandoned Target shopping cart or a shopping basket in the background there?
It looks like it. I can't imagine how that's good for business for the prostitutes. As I sit here looking at this burned out building with piles of trash, I can only imagine what the smell is like. I think I'd rather have sex at the Luxor.
Once again, I'm going to do John Phillips a favor and not turn that into a drop.
So whatever they want.
The family's property is locked up, but the abandoned one next door is wide open, making it easy for...
Well, it wasn't, I mean, there was kind of a door, but it wasn't really attached to anything.
No.
I love that he put his hand on the door handle, though.
A door in the loosest sense.
vandals to get in.
They say they don't know who's the owner. Can you believe that? The city doesn't know who's the owner.
The fire, just the beginning of a painful 4 months for this family, now still trying to protect what's left of their home.
I just want to do something. If they don't find the owner, send someone to close the property.
And it's one of these crazy situations when it comes to situations with squatters and all the illegal activity that's just been evidenced in the story. The city holds their hands up and says, well, there's just nothing we can do. It's private property. There's nothing we can do here.
Okay, what do you think the odds are after this family's home burned down and they had to find another place to live, that their alternate location was Boyle Heights?
I sure hope not. That would be adding insult to injury.
You can smell it right here.
Actually, be adding injury to injury.
Yeah.
We reached out to Councilman Hugo Soto Martinez.
Oh, of course, it's another Hugo property.
You know, let's criminalize catalytic converters. Let's criminalize copper.
This is where I blame the city of Los Angeles.
Oh, they deserve all of it.
Council District 13, which includes parts of Hollywood, parts of Larchmont, Echo Park, even some parts of Silver Lake. They had an opportunity after 4 years of this jackass.
Yeah, clap that up.
To knock him out, and he didn't even have to go through a runoff. He won like 60% of the vote in the primary. So Hugo is getting another 4 years. Thanks, voters.
Office about this problem. So far tonight, we haven't gotten a response. We're live tonight in Larchmont. Matthew Seedorf, Fox 11 News.
Want to hear the update on that one? All right, thank you.
So that is the report from Matthew Seedorf at Fox 11. And if you're just joining us, Matthew Seedorf had a little fun addition to our AI image of the day. That's so great.
So what's wild is in this neighborhood, there are still homes that haven't burned down yet. But could you imagine living on that block with all of this chaos going on right now in a burned out lot?
Well, remember the squatter story we did earlier this year of Hope Street, where you have a place in downtown LA called Hope Street, where there have been 4 or 5 apartment buildings and homes that were burned down because of these squatter fires. It happens over and over and over again. We talk about how much that we want to make sure that we protect people from dangerous chemicals and fires and disasters. And we know that people living illegally in dwellings start fires. They do it all the time. Jeff writes in on YouTube, I don't understand how and when squatters got more rights than legal property owners. And you're totally right about that.
Well, what they do is they come in with a phony lease, and then the city goes, oh, this is a matter between a landlord and a tenant, so you have to go to a judge. You shouldn't have to go to a judge. If there are people squatting in your property, that's when someone with a badge and a gun is supposed to come by and kick them out.
Apparently that doesn't work, and that's where people have to go through certain underhanded means. Like that guy we interviewed in the Bay Area that then get in a little trouble because one of the guys he hired decided to pull a gun on somebody.
I'm surprised that they don't have to do that every time they kick these people out.
It is insane. And it is one of the reasons why anytime I think about getting into the real estate market as an investor and thinking about like becoming a landlord, hey, that's easy passive income, I would never do it with California and Los Angeles laws protecting squatters over property owners 10 out of 10 times.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's time to talk about CarPro.com. Listener Robert contacted Tustin Hyundai because they're an authorized CarPro dealership. He wanted the transparency and structure that CarPro is known for providing. After reaching out, the general manager stepped in personally. Frank applied the CarPro discount along with a $4,000 manufacturer lease incentive and handled everything clearly through the email. When Robert arrived, the sales manager was completely prepared with all the details, no re-explaining needed. Rick introduced him to another guy at the dealership who took him out on a test drive, and the delivery process was smooth and professional. Robert says it was exactly what CarPro promises. No games, transparent pricing, and respect for his time. He highly recommends Tustin Hyundai and CarPro.com. If you want that kind of VIP treatment and amazing pricing, go to CarPro.com and enter all your info, or you can text message or call Tom Haynes directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you can not only listen to the show on the radio, but you can watch us perform it live and participate in the chat.
We are broadcasting live every single day on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Randy Wang Radio. You can also just search on YouTube. You can do the George Gascon, do a
Google on YouTube.
and search John Phillips, Randy Wang. It should pop right up. If you cannot find it, there is a link at KABC.com and KSFO.com, or even easier, I just helped out two people. Email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. We'll show you where to go, and then you can watch us live, participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button. We're already at 43 likes for today's show. We love getting that up to 200 by 3 o'clock. And subscribe. You can also, once you have subscribed, you can hit the bell icon, and that will notify you as soon as we go live. You'll get told on your phone, hey, John Phillips Show, here's the link. Let's go.
And earlier today, we just recorded this week's edition of the Accountability Podcast. If you want to see LA Mayor Karen Bass and LA Public Health Director Barbara Ferrer get verbally abused by a room full of angry people in Boyle Heights, this is your podcast to listen to.
No.
It was so cathartic to experience, especially uncensored, and it's why we could not play the raw audio on this show because we're governed by the FCC. But we're not on the podcast, so it comes out at midnight tonight. It comes out tomorrow. You can get it on audio if you want to listen by searching for Accountability Podcast on Apple Podcasts or iHeart, but we highly recommend you watch it along with us at youtube.com/@Accountability Podcast. I'm going to put a link into the chat on YouTube right now. Hit that subscribe button. Also, you can get the bell there, but if you hit subscribe, you'll get the episode as soon as it comes out. And we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week. And if we can do that, we've got a very special bonus video for you. We will play you the famous call of Kathy from Malibu. We're at 826. We need to get to 1,000 by the end of the week. If you've hit subscribe, great. Tell your friends, tell your family. Let's blow up this internet.
The John Phillips Show continues in moments. Don't you go anywhere. Okay, let's get real for a moment. If you've been injured, car accident, motorcycle, slip and fall, the lawyer you choose matters. And I'm telling you right now to do your homework. Before you hire any personal injury attorney, pull out your phone, look them up, read the reviews. Clark Fielding has successfully represented so many of our KABC listeners, and it shows. 5 stars on Google, 5 stars on Yelp. Now compare that to a lot of the big, heavy advertisers you hear everywhere else, and you'll see ratings all over the map. Some good ones, some bad ones. That should tell you something. When people are hurt, stressed, and vulnerable, reputation and results aren't optional. They're everything. If you've been injured and want real answers, call Clark Fielding at 833-88-SHARK. That's 833-88-SHARK. Or find him online at clarkthesharklaw.com. Look him up, read the reviews, then decide who you want on your side. That's Clark Fielding, the Jaws of Justice, at 833-88-SHARK, 833-88-SHARK. It's the John Phillips Show. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. It helps us out with the algorithm to push the show in front of as many eyeballs as possible. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, even though Javier Becerra has gone into Joe Biden's basement, there is a gubernatorial election going on right now in the state of California.
Wait, what did you call him? I think you got his name wrong.
I think so.
For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Baccaria.
Thank you, Grampy Joe.
Javier Becerra, I don't think has been seen in public since mid-June.
No.
This is the strategy. This is what we do here. We go into hiding as soon as the primary is over. This was the Adam Schiff strategy, although ironically in that Senate race, Adam Schiff stopped campaigning, and so did Steve Garvey.
What do you think Javier Becerra is doing right now? Do you think he just went on one of those Kathy Lee cruises?
He's probably enjoying himself, thinking that he's got a very good chance of running away with this thing, even if he doesn't lift a finger. But that is not guaranteed, because Steve Hilton is putting up a big fight. He's going to be on the show later this week. And there is an issue that's going to be on the November ballot that will motivate a lot of people who may not trust California elections to actually show up at the polls. And John, that is the ballot initiative for voter ID.
And according to all the polls that we have seen, this thing should pass, and should pass by wide margins.
It is a really funny thing because it sounds like, if you listen to the talking heads and the politicians, that it's a very partisan issue. But when you poll actual people, it's one of those 80-20 issues where most of the people are like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, think about it. The opponents of the voter ID initiative say, oh, if you require people to show a picture ID before they vote, no one's going to be able to vote. Okay, think about this for a second. When Spirit Airlines was around, they demanded, like all the other airlines, that you show photo ID to be able to get on those planes. Look at the clientele that Spirit Airlines attracted, and remember, every single one of them was able to produce a photo ID. If they can do it, anyone can do it.
And if there truly are so many barriers to getting a photo ID, shouldn't we be marshaling our resources to helping out that very small percentage of people that are having problems with this?
No. If you're too dumb to get a photo ID, you're too dumb to vote too.
What if you're blind or something? Or disabled and you don't have hands?
Blind people can get photo IDs.
Good point.
People without hands, well, then you shouldn't have done illegal things on the 4th of July.
It's a good point. Well, for more on the voter ID initiative that will be on the ballot and what our gubernatorial candidates think about it, here's a report from ABC 10 in Sacramento.
The race for California governor is continuing to take shape, with elections and voter trust among the issues expected to play a major role this November.
One candidate is still going up and down the state campaigning, and the other one is he's chilling out for the summer.
Yeah, he's scrubbing things.
Well, we do know that is his favorite term. I can't believe he ended up becoming the guy.
Scrub it. I know.
That guy. I remember when we played that interview with him and Alex Michelson where he said this over and over and over again.
Scrub it.
And every interview that I've heard from every single person running for governor, he sure sounded the dumbest. And he was the top vote getter.
Well, it explains a lot of what kind of government we get in California.
And it explains if this is the voter.
No, I don't know enough to give you any good information, but good luck finding someone who does.
Although one positive thing I will say about California's electorate is a big portion of the state said no to this jackass and his money.
I'm Tom Steyer, and I'm about to ride the D.
Usually what we do, though, is we don't take the village idiot and make them governor. Usually what we do is we take the village idiot and we make them public health director.
And if you want to hear her get screamed at, you got to watch our accountability podcast premiering tomorrow.
It's a good one.
As always, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. Republican Steve Hilton is weighing in tonight on the issue just hours after President Trump announced that he will address the nation this week, with sources telling ABC News the president plans to detail new intelligence he received related to the 2020 election.
We're still on that? What year is it?
I think it's really important that we have trust in elections.
California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton sitting down with ABC 10 on Monday discussing the election process.
I think that there are things we need to do to improve the way elections work in California, not least how long it takes to get the result. And so I think there's lots of...
You don't like election month?
Election season goes on longer than Christmas season now. And by the way, I was just at Costco this weekend. They already have the Halloween stuff out.
Of course they do.
Rules that we should change in California. The number one, the most important, is voter ID.
A ballot measure headed to California voters this November would require voters to provide identification when casting ballots, among other changes to the state's voting process.
And I think if you're still voting by mail, which will still be allowed, you just have to put like the last 4 digits of your social on there, which is something that you have to do for all kinds of different applications online. So it won't be that big of a stretch.
Well, if you want to talk about some issue related to your credit card, you have to give those numbers out to some guy in Bangladesh before they'll even start answering your questions.
Supporters, including Steve Hilton, say the proposal would strengthen election security.
Voter ID is going to be on the ballot here in California. And I think that's a really important change we can make to reassure people that we're making sure that as many people vote as possible, but only people who are eligible should vote.
Well, and I think there's another aspect to this as well. even if there's nothing certainly nefarious going on, and, the fact that Steve Hilton made the top 2 will tell you that there definitely is a system where people who do vote can vote and their votes are counted, you do have a big portion of the population that does not trust the system because of all kinds of things that they have seen. So if we can increase the confidence that the people have in our system, they may be more likely to participate than the 40% that we get.
Well, and one other thing that they should do is we should go back to the old days when you, if you vote by absentee ballot, have to request one each and every cycle. Because when you make it automatic and you just send everyone a ballot, you end up with apartment buildings in particular where you have stacks of ballots because people move, people die, people don't participate in the process, whatever. And if you want to destroy confidence in your elections, then have thousands or millions of ballots just floating around the ether and expect everyone to do the right thing with the honor system.
Well, and there's an easy way to do this. You can have an opt-in system, and it doesn't have to be that you have to fill out some long form or go to the DMV. You can have it as simple as text VOTE to 939393, and you will be registered to get your absentee ballot. It could be that simple. Think of all the paper we're wasting every single year when 60% of ballots go unused, because in that last race, each ballot was about 12 pages.
Opponents argue it could create barriers to voting. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Javier Becerra had this to say last month about.
Notice how this is what he had to say last month about this.
Oh, yeah, because that guy has disappeared. He's in the witness protection program.
About election reform.
I'm against voter suppression. I'm against anything that would try to limit a Californian's right to vote. I'm against something that it's a solution in search of a problem.
Cliche generality.
Boy, this guy does have a room temperature IQ.
We were at that debate, the one in Claremont, which was a beautiful part of town, and we saw all of these people on stage. It wasn't even close as to forget what your policy, forget who was being, performative and who was acting out, who looked and sounded the most unprepared, the dumbest on stage. It wasn't even close. It was Javier Baccaria.
That has to drive the other candidates crazy because you had people on stage who were at 1%, 2%, Antonio Villaraigosa, Tony Thurmond, others. Matt Mahan was in the low single digits. And you could tell, whether you agreed with them or not, that they'd done their homework. They'd done the reading. They had ideas on how to fix certain problems. This guy did none of that. He was exactly as you described, totally unprepared. He looked like the kid that didn't read the book who's doing the book report, and he's the one that won.
And that's the same criticism that we've gotten from all kinds of his former coworkers in the Biden administration. Whenever there was a cabinet meeting, he was the one completely unprepared to talk about whatever he was supposed to talk about. And that's why when it came to COVID, they kind of pretty much took over for him.
While sources tell ABC News President Trump will address the nation this week about new intelligence in the 2020 election, we also asked Hilton how he would respond to California voters who have concerns about claims of voter fraud in this election cycle.
We wanted to make sure that, not least to our supporters, that everything was fine and there's nothing to be concerned about. And we didn't see anything to be concerned about, to be honest. So as far as I've got total confidence in the elections that just happened. As I say, I think we can improve the process so we get a quicker result. But in terms of the integrity of the election, I think it's...
go back to what Spencer Pratt said. What the problem in California is not that they're fixing it when they're counting the ballots or someone at the county is changing the numbers. The problem in California is what's legal, how the votes are collected, how much assistance groups like the DSA are allowed to provide people when they fill out the ballots or allow someone to fill out the ballot on their behalf. How you can collect these ballots and dump them in a box that is not associated with any living person. Those sorts of things. How long it takes for us to count the ballots. All of those problems are issues that are currently legal in California. So it's not like there is fraud. I mean, don't get me wrong. We saw that with what was going on with the signatures related to the ballot initiative process and the video that was collected up in San Francisco. But I think the biggest problem in California today is the one that Spencer Pratt identified in the last video.
I don't understand. I mean, I know how we got here, but I don't understand what the argument for ballot harvesting is. It sure seems like an incredibly corrupt process, and how many people legitimately is that supposed to help? If you can't show up within 30 days to drop off your own ballot, we should not have someone be able to, that you don't know, come to your house and take it from you.
But think about when these laws were established. The laws were established when Republicans were still relevant in California. So the Democrats thought it would be the unions that would be harvesting the ballots, and the unions would help the Democrats beat the Republicans. They never anticipated that Republicans would be so irrelevant in California that those very rules would be used by the DSA to defeat Democrats.
I haven't questioned what we've seen just now in California, and I'm looking forward to a very good election with a high turnout in November.
And I also asked Steve Hilton about the upcoming Republican National Convention. He says that he has been invited to attend, but his campaign is weighing whether he can fit it into his existing schedule as he is focusing on campaigning here in California ahead of that November election.
Hilton's best bet is to completely ignore everything going on with the National Republican Party. He doesn't want to need to be asked, where the hell is Mitch McConnell?
Well, it's also not even an actual convention. From what I understand, it's a fundraiser. I don't think there are delegates. I don't think there are committee hearings. I don't think there's votes that are going on. I think it's just an excuse to meet and to raise money.
I don't think he gets any kind of boost from that, so it would be a complete waste of his time. He's going to spend his time campaigning up and down the state of California, doing a lot of earned media. He'll be on this show later this week, and that's what you got to do, especially when the other side is just completely silent.
Besides, it's in Dallas, correct?
I don't know, but oh gosh, Dallas in the summer? Yikes.
Well, that means he's going to have to fly American, which means he's going to get stuck there.
RNC Convention 2026 in Dallas at the American Airlines Center.
Oh, yeah.
I walked by there the other day, Victory Park. It is beautiful.
See, I don't know why you would ever name an arena the American Airlines Center and then put hockey games there. Because if I'm going to a hockey game and it's at the American Airlines Center, I'm going to assume that every game is going to be delayed or canceled. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure to click that like button. We're currently at 80 likes, and it keeps going up every time I take a peek over there. And that is unbelievably helpful at pushing us on the YouTube platform to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible, which, of course, is the goal.
We're trying to blow up the internet, take over the airwaves, and you can help us every single day by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Randy Wang Radio, hitting the like button. And by the way, if you're subscribed and you hit the bell, you can be notified as soon as we go live every single day, because we're doing this 15 hours a week.
And the goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers for the Accountability Podcast. But more importantly, if we get to 1,000, we're going to provide a video for you about the call that was so famous that I think we replayed over and over and over again on the old feed.
So I think what had happened was there was like a best of that kept running over and over and over again. And it was of this crazy lady named Kathy that called into the show. I don't even remember what the topic was, and I don't think she did either. And she started talking about Martha Stewart and Madonna. I don't want to spoil too much of it. It made no sense whatsoever. We could not stop laughing. Outside of the Katie Porter call, it might be the most requested call that we get to replay on this show. So we thought, hey, this is the age of video. This is 2026. We can do a little better than just showing you the tape. We can actually produce a video the same way we did with that special Katie Porter video, which got a lot of attention last week. We will premiere that video as soon as we get up to 900 subscribers on the Accountability Podcast. I'm going to put a link into the chat right now, youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. If you have any trouble finding it, send us an email. I'll point you in the right direction. And Johnny, we have a brand new episode premiering tomorrow where Karen Bass and the fake doctor, they get to hear an earful from the pissed off Boyle Heights people.
So just to give you a little preview of what happened, it is so wild to me that they're repeating so many of the same mistakes that they made during the Pacific Palisades fires in Boyle Heights. And by that, I mean, this is an environmental disaster that's going on in this community where the entire community smells like rotting garbage. And so they're doing things like trying to give out air filters and Lysol and masks and that sort of thing. But they're tripping all over themselves. They don't have enough equipment. They don't have enough of those items to pass out because people are in desperate need. Many people who live there don't have air conditioning. They rely on opening up the windows, and now you're not supposed to do that because of the stench of rotting food. And what does Karen Bass say when she goes down there to talk to them? We're giving money to this NGO, and we're giving money to that NGO, and we're giving money here, and we're giving money there. But none of that money is actually making it to the people who live in the area and are getting sick and are suffering. But all of those not-for-profits, they're getting rich off of this. And she was bragging about it like she did something good.
It was another one of those situations where she sounds like she's accepting an award at the Oscars instead of eating the you-know-what that she deserves for misleading the public on how dangerous toxic smoke fumes from solar panels are.
And apparently, when people are showing up to hospitals or health clinics with fluid in their lungs because of all of the dangerous gases that they're inhaling on a regular basis, Barbara Ferrera's team is telling them to take some Tylenol and go home. And they confronted her about that. They confronted her about the failures of the LA County Department of Public Health and let her have it in the most profane of terms.
It really is satisfying to hear Barbara Ferrera not just get yelled at, because we've heard that over the years, but to hear her get cussed out from the constituents. It is something you can only experience on the Accountability Podcast that drops tomorrow. You can subscribe now at youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast and watch it along with us tomorrow, just not between noon and 3, because that's when we're doing this.
Fix California Hours next. California Congressman Tom McClintock joins us. Don't you go anywhere.
Something's not right here.
Crime is up all over the state.
The homelessness in the city is out of control.
The economy is sick. Taxes are high.
Housing is expensive and businesses are leaving. California needs fixing. And John Phillips is just the man to lead the charge. It's the Fix California Hour with John Phillips and Randy Wang.
And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, we are broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC in Southern California, 810 KSFO in the Bay Area, and now streaming live all over the internet, youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. You can also find the link at KABC.com or KSFO.com. If you cannot find it, just email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. We will send you the link. You can also get us on X at Johnny Don't Like, Facebook at KABC Radio, Facebook at 810 KSFO, and Twitch at Randy Wang Radio. Participate in the chat room, react with the stories along with us, and hang out with us. We're here live until 3 o'clock. And if you're in that chat room, hit that like button, hit subscribe. It means a lot. It helps YouTube push us out to even more places.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the congressman representing California's 5th Congressional District. That is much of Northern California, the suburbs of Sacramento. You can get him online at tommcclintock.com and follow him on X at Tom McClintock. Congressman Tom McClintock, thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. You just gave a speech on the floor of the House of Representatives about the July 4th address that DSA Mayor of New York City, Zohran Mamdani, gave to the nation. Can you tell us about what you had to say in front of your fellow members of the House?
Well, I mean, fundamentally, it's a question of freedom and socialism. Those are two entirely incompatible points of view. And one has to prevail. You hear all the time that, well, capitalism, that's dog eat dog, look out for yourself. That was essentially Mamdani's message. And socialism is sharing and caring and looking out for each other. And the fact is, it's exactly the opposite. There's only one possible way to succeed in a free market capitalist system. You've got to figure out what somebody else needs and how to get it for them better than they get it for themselves. It might be mowing their lawn. It might be doing brain surgery on their child. But whatever it is, you have to help your neighbor. That's the only way that you can get ahead. Socialism is taking what one person has earned by helping others and giving it to somebody who hasn't. It's true if I take $1 from Peter and give it to Paul, Paul's got an extra $1 to spend. I've helped him. I've hurt Peter by exactly that same amount. That's what Milton Friedman warned when he said, you cannot say that government is going to help one person without at the very same time saying it's going to hurt somebody else. But what I've really done by taking $1 from Peter and give it to Paul, I've taken away from both of them $1's worth of incentive to help each other. Paul no longer needs to help Peter. He already has his $1. Peter no longer profits from helping Paul. And the glue that holds the society together begins to dissolve. And that's why you see the same pathologies wherever socialism is introduced. You see sky-high taxes, rising crime, shortages of basic necessities, ultimately failing businesses and fleeing families.
You look at poll numbers right now in this country, particularly within the Democratic Party, and the DSA is on the rise in that party right now. According to a Marquette Law School poll that was conducted earlier this year, 42% of Democratic voters have a favorable view of the DSA, compared to 17% who view them unfavorably. When you ask the question, do you prefer capitalism or democratic socialism to Democratic voters, they prefer democratic socialism to capitalism by a 58-point margin. You look at traditional Democratic candidates who do not align with the DSA, do not claim to be members of the DSA. Kamala Harris, She just met with Zoran Mamdani, and she made sure that everyone knows about it because she wants Democratic voters to know that she considers him part of the team, and she's not going to run against him and his policies. She's going to try to co-opt him. Then you have Gavin Newsom, who's another potential candidate for president in the Democratic primary, who had been opposed to this wealth confiscation tax here in California sponsored by the SEIU. He sees all of these DSA wins, and man, that guy makes a pivot almost immediately and says, well, yeah, I oppose it at the state level, but I think we should have a tax like that at the federal level. What do you make of the fact that the DSA is so popular right now within the Democratic Party?
Well, obviously, this is no longer a lunatic fringe of the Democratic Party. It is the Democratic Party. And they're advancing a brazen agenda of open borders. They want to abolish ICE. They support crushing tax increases and a renewed war on fossil fuels. But look, wherever they've taken control, they took our most beautiful cities of the 20th century, Detroit, St. Louis, Baltimore, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and turned them into socialist hellholes. They've done the same thing to our most beautiful states, including California. You know, California used to have among the lowest taxes in the country. It had the lowest unemployment rate. We had the finest roads in the country. We had the finest university system in the world. Our schools were way ahead of the rest of the country. And in a generation, by applying the principles of socialism, they've destroyed all of that. Why would anyone in his right mind want to continue policies that have proven themselves so destructive wherever they've been tried? The fact is, socialism has not worked any better in California than everywhere else in the country it's ever in the world that has ever been tried.
When you look at the DSA candidates that have been electorally successful in recent elections, and you compare them to the Democratic candidates that they've been running against, one of the starkest differences between the two of them is the framing of Donald Trump. With the traditional Democrats, Trump is the villain in every story. He's the threat to democracy. He's the guy who wants to be a king. He's the guy who wants to be a dictator. It doesn't matter what office they're running for. If it's a federal office, a state office, a local office, they're running to stop Trump. That is their agenda. That is their platform. When you look at the DSA candidates, it's a little different. They're happy to talk Trump, but Trump isn't the central villain. They talk about how capitalism is the problem and Trump is a product of capitalism, and then they pivot and then they talk about all these loony ideas that they have that you just mentioned, this laundry list of socialist ones. And even though what they're advocating for is crazy, and I think most people, I don't think they could ever win a national election, most people see these ideas as crazy. Within these Democratic primaries, they are the only ones talking about ideas because the traditional Democrats have TDS to the point to where they're incapable of talking about any other subject, and they've just given the floor to the DSA.
Well, I think it goes deeper than that. I think the Democratic Party has been moving in this direction for quite some time. And the DSA is simply the natural result of that extremism now coming to dominate the party. But they've always, at least through my lifetime, advocated higher and higher taxes, more and more oppressive regulations. And wherever they've had their way, you've seen housing prices go through the roof. You've seen necessities of basic or shortages of basic necessities like water, electricity, gasoline. I mean, look at California's gasoline prices compared with the rest of the country. We're like $2 more a gallon. Well, there's a reason for that. The policies of the left that have dominated our state for many years now. And the question is, do you want to continue to go down this road? I look at California with all of its advantages, the most equitable climate in the entire hemisphere, the most bountiful resources anywhere in the continent of the United States. We're on the Pacific Rim in a position to dominate world trade. And yet you look at the census data and you'll see that 1.5 million more people have moved out of California than have moved in. We have a massive population exodus. And two of the most popular destinations for California expatriates are Nevada and Arizona. And I would put this question to you. Can you imagine an act of God that could do that much damage to California to turn it into a less desirable place to live in the middle of the Nevada nuclear test range? I can't think of one. But acts of government can do that much damage, and they have. And it's precisely those policies that socialism has brought to California, that socialism has brought to all of the other cities and states, and for that matter, countries that it's wrecked over time. You would think that at some point people would start to connect the dots.
We're speaking with California Congressman Tom McClintock. Congressman, no one knows better than you how difficult it is for taxpayers or homeowners to get a win in Sacramento. It doesn't happen very often. Sacramento is a town where the unions dominate and they usually get their way. But a couple of weeks ago, taxpayers and homeowners did get a win in Sacramento when the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association collected enough signatures to qualify an initiative for the ballot that would have protected Proposition 13. The unions were terrified that it would pass. Gavin Newsom was terrified that it would pass. Very specifically, the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, was terrified that it would pass. And they went to the negotiating table with John Kupal and the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and gave him a bird in the hand. He's going to be able to come up with a title and summary for the initiative that is going to be on the November ballot. Everyone expects this thing to pass. And I asked him what was his secret sauce. What was it that he did this time that allowed him to get the win for taxpayers? And he said, don't blink. If you don't blink and you just stay the course and you just keep pushing, that's the only thing that they respect. That's the only thing that gets you any kind of standing in that town at all. Do you see any pearls of wisdom of that battle and that victory for taxpayers, for homeowners in California, where we can look to that and we can go, okay, maybe there is a path forward to bringing sanity back to California when it comes to tax policy or how Sacramento punishes homeowners? Are you as optimistic as Kupal?
Well, I'll tell you this. Thank God for John Kupal and thank God for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. You remember a generation ago when we passed Proposition 13, families were losing their homes all over California because the appreciation was growing on those homes. And as a result, people's taxes were growing beyond their ability to pay for them. They knew what their mortgage payment was, and they built that into their budgets. But as their taxes went up year after year after year, they were being priced out of their own homes. Proposition 13 saved them from that. And that was made possible by Howard Jarvis, by Jonathan Kupal, who's now the president of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and the work of an awful lot of volunteers who came out to stand up against big government. That's been done before. It can be done again. And John's just shown that. The ballot box is an important safety valve for voters who have long ago been ignored by their elected officials. This gives them the ability to put measures on the ballot directly. And John did that with this measure and was able to force Sacramento to back down. It's, that's why we have, we're about 34th in the country in our property taxes today. Compare that, we're number one in our income taxes, number one in our sales taxes. But we've been shielded from the property taxes by the work of Howard Jarvis.
Let's shift gears and talk about the gubernatorial election for a second, because Xavier Becerra seems to be in the witness protection program right now, where they were just talking about him in the news this morning about what he thought about the voter ID initiative. And they had to use a quote from him from a month or so ago because he's just not present. He's just not actively campaigning in any sort of real way. This seems to be the playbook right now among Democrats running for the statewide constitutional offices, and I guess you could throw the 2 U.S. Senate seats in there as well, where you make it to the runoff with a Republican, and then you just disappear. You don't make yourself available for interviews. You don't show up to candidate forums. You don't want to debate your opponent unless it's on the radio at 10 o'clock in the morning in the middle of summer or up against a football game or whatever. That seems to be what he plans on doing in this race, where he pulls a Joe Biden, goes into the basement, and doesn't come out until the election is over. I understand strategically why a Democratic candidate would want to do that. If they go out and they campaign and they make a mistake, that could become an issue in the race that could, I guess, if the mistake is big enough, cause them to lose. But the people who lose the most when you do that are the voters, are the people who live in California, because it seems like he wants to deny us an honest conversation about where the future of the state is going.
Well, it's the arrogance of a one-party state. We saw that with Katie Porter in the primary when she was asked, "How are you going to appeal to Republican voters?" And she essentially says, "I don't need Republican voters. Why would I even try?" But what Becerra promises is more of the same. And I think Republican candidate Steve Hilton is going to make significant inroads in California by raising these fundamental issues. Do you really want to continue to live like this? You know, we have the most beautiful state in the country. The only thing we lack is wise public policy. We don't have to live like this with chronic water shortages in one of the most water-rich regions of the country, with the highest electricity prices in the United States. With the worst traffic congestion. We pay the highest gas taxes in the country, and yet we always rank at the bottom in our per capita spending for our highways. Why do you want to continue to live like this, California? And I think that's the point that Steve Hilton's going to make. And my guess is if he starts to make inroads, that's going to force Becerra out of whatever hole he's hiding in. And defend the policies that have utterly destroyed our beautiful state of California.
What do you make of Gavin Newsom's presidential hopes as they stand right now? And I say that because we now have an environmental disaster going on in Boyle Heights, where we had the cold storage facility have the fire, and now you have all the rotting food. And after a chemical fire went on for weeks on end, now you have this rotting food that's making the neighborhood just stink by almost indescribable how bad the smell is. The mayor just went down to a community forum, got cursed out, screamed at. I mean, it was probably, she'd rather be any other place than there on planet Earth, but she did show up and take her lumps. Instead of showing up and taking his lumps, Gavin Newsom is in the state of Nevada campaigning for Democrats running for office in that state. Showing up to an environmental disaster seems like something you should do if you're the governor of a state. And you should make sure that, adequate resources are there and people are getting what they need. And, if people are getting sick, they're being taken care of. He could care less and decided to campaign in a different state for candidates who cannot impact the state of California instead of doing his day job. Have you ever seen a governor in California this checked out before?
Well, yes, Jerry Brown. I think you could add him to the list. In fact, I think a lot of the problems began under his first administration, his era of limits, small is beautiful, don't build things and people won't come mentality. That's when we abandoned our highways. We stopped people from building homes at all income levels to meet demand. We stopped building electricity generation. A lot of that started under him, it's continued under Democratic regimes, and has now reached this point where California is suffering chronic shortages of all of the above. But that's going to be a pretty difficult case to make to the American people. How about making all of America as bad as California? Don't forget, I said 1.5 million more people moved out than moved in. They've moved to the 49 other states. And they're telling their stories to their neighbors of why they left. And I don't think that's a particularly good launching pad for a presidential campaign.
California Congressman Tom McClintock, representing California's 5th Congressional District. You can get him online at tommcclintock.com, and you can follow him on X at Tom McClintock. Congressman McClintock, thanks so much for stopping by.
My pleasure, John. Thanks for having me.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like. It'll help us with the algorithm to push us in front of as many eyeballs as possible. And Randy, tomorrow, or I guess tonight at 12 midnight, the new Accountability podcast drops.
The brand new episode of the Accountability Podcast launches at midnight. It's John and I going through the uncensored town hall where Karen Bass and Barbara Ferrer got cussed out. We need you to check it out. It was a lot of fun to put together, and we need you to share it with as many people. Anyone that you know that had their life ruined by Barbara Ferrer, that's having to deal with Karen Bass, it is very cathartic to hear these pissed off Boyle Heights residents give them exactly what they deserve. YouTube.com/@accountability podcast. Hit subscribe.
The Fix California Hour continues in moments. Don't you go anywhere.
Car accidents happen constantly. If you happen to get hurt in one, you got to call my friend Clark Fielding and the jaws of justice at Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK. That's 833-887-4275, 833-88-SHARK. Even a minor accident can lead to a major long-term injury. So don't go at this alone. Get the jaws of justice on your side, helping you out with your case. That's Clark Fielding at Fielding Law. 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275. Clark Fielding has got 5-star reviews on Yelp and Google. This is the guy you want in your corner, helping you out with your case. So find out if you have one. Get a free consultation from Clark Fielding and the jaws of justice at Fielding Law at 833-88-SHARK, 833-887-4275, and go to the website clarkthesharklaw.com. You can hit download on the accident preparation guide, print out that checklist, put it in your glove box.
Hurt in an accident? Bite back. Call Clark. 833-88-SHARK. clarkthesharklaw.com.
It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Let's do that right now. I just got to grab it. And I have to figure out how to pronounce this correctly. 790 KABC welcomes Kolo Hekai to the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on July 24th. Tickets are on sale now at packamp.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
Here with an update on the sale of the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, Mr. Randy Wang.
And you know, when we're doing a segment about the Coliseum, we're going to need an assist from my girl, Shangy.
And we still got our Oakland A's, baby.
No, you don't. The Oakland City Council has voted to approve the sale of the Oakland Coliseum. And tell me if you've ever heard this before. They swear the company buying the Coliseum has the money, but in case they don't, the city's still on the hook for it.
If the FBI isn't looking into this deal, they're nuts.
Like, don't waste our time. We have a whole city to run.
Remember when Shangy decided to hang the entire budget on the hopes that this deal would close in 2024?
Selling a stadium to a group with no money and then basing your entire budget on that, what could go wrong?
I can get that.
Oh, boy. I can't wait till the Shangy trial happens in October, and we'll be live on video and might need even do a live remote in Oakland.
We might have to.
For more on that, what's the subscriber stretch goal for that one, Johnny?
We'll have to wait and see.
For more on this, here is KPIX in the Bay.
It's a deal that's been years in the making, but earlier today, with a vote by Oakland City Council, the city finally sold their 50% portion of the Coliseum. With it, a new direction for the site.
Real estate practice, but while this
a landmark decision, years in the making. The Oakland City Council voting Monday to sell the city's half-ownership stake in the Coliseum complex. A deal supporters say could finally bring new life to the 112-acre site. The city selling its 50% ownership stake to the Oakland Acquisition Company for $110 million up front, plus 6% of future ticket sales.
Wait, that's a different company.
Yeah, that's not the company that Shang sold it to.
So I guess what we found out is that AASEG and Ray Bobbitt really never did have the money.
Big surprise there.
The bureaucracy is real.
And an additional $15 million tied to development permits. Oakland City Council member Janani Ramachandran, who chairs the Finance Committee, says the deal is about investing in the future of the Coliseum while also easing the city's financial burden.
I mean, what are they going to put there? They have no teams. They literally just lost the soccer team. The Roots are going somewhere else. The Valkyries don't play there. The Raiders don't play there. The A's don't play there. What are they going to put there?
Maybe they're going to try to court that guy at Venice Beach on the roller skates with the accordion.
How many times a year can you do the monster truck rally?
Now, the city of Oakland spends about $16.4 thousand a day to keep the Coliseum open. That's over $6 million a year. And that's money, if this deal is signed and we transfer ownership.
You guys got to fix that microphone.
Yeah, what's wrong with that mic?
Oakland broke. Oakland Brokeland.
That can continue to flow back to the city of Oakland that we can use.
The agreement ends years of uncertainty after delays, lawsuits, and questions about the future of the property. The vision for the property includes a reimagined entertainment destination. Irving Azoff, music industry legend and co-founder of the Oakview Group, the company partnering on the project, shared his confidence in the future of the Coliseum.
Ray Bobbitt is nowhere near this deal. Not surprised.
You know, this is not a rescue mission in itself. It's just an opportunity to take now what I consider to be a B experience and make it an A.
Okay, the first payment you get from this guy, you've got to replace that podium mic.
else experience.
But not everyone is convinced. Oakland City Council member Noel Gallo, the only no vote, questioned whether this
That was the first time I've ever seen him not in some kind of costume.
Yeah, usually he's wearing an orange vest or something with a hard hat on.
city fully understands the value of the land it's selling, and he also questioned whether the city and the county should have worked together on exploring other options.
What is the best use for that land that we can invest together?
Well, and John, you can attest to this. You can do whatever you want with developing that land, but if you don't clean up the piles of garbage that are around it, no one's going to go there. Can you explain what it's like when you get off at the BART station to go to the Oakland Coliseum?
So the last time I was there was what, July 4th?
Of 2024, yeah.
Okay. And I was there to watch the Angels play. And so I was staying in San Francisco, and I took the BART in from Union Square, and you go under the bay, and you go into Oakland. And the first thing you see when you come out is you see a bunch of burned out RVs left everywhere. I don't think there's any places to park in that part of Oakland because burned out RVs are taking all of the spaces on the streets. There's graffiti everywhere, including on single-family homes. And you just drive by street after street after street that have some version of what I just described. Then you get to the station at the Coliseum, and you get off the train, and you have to get in this catwalk that has, I don't know, like a chain link fence wrapped around it. And you walk on this catwalk above, I don't know how many stories high it is, but it's way up in the air. And you walk over this homeless encampment with yet more RVs and active fires going on underneath you as you walk to the stadium. Then you get out of the catwalk and you're at the stadium and you have your good time at the game. I got to watch the Angels lose. And then to get back on the train, you have to walk over all the chaos yet again.
You know what you just reminded me of when you talked about burned out RVs? That Sheng Tao press conference where we really got to know her. It was her first State of the City address. It's where this drop came from.
You may be frightened, and I know how you feel.
And this drop.
The bureaucracy is real.
Do you remember she touted as her one accomplishment as mayor is that if there's a burned out car on the side of the road, we will tow it away real fast.
Quite an accomplishment.
Oh, I miss her every single day.
How are you? Good.
Love to shake your hand.
Yes, it's been amazing.
And right now, you know, what is the land? What's the appraisal on the land? They can't tell. Didn't you do an appraisal on what it could go and didn't go?
Well, it's not what the land is worth. It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for it.
And theoretically, someone who has the money to pay for it.
That was the problem 2 years ago.
They haven't done that.
But Oakland City Council member Ken Houston, whose district includes the Coliseum.
If we ever interview Ken Houston, it's probably going to have to be on the podcast because he likes to pop off.
Oh, does he now?
Yes.
Says the city had to balance getting the best deal possible with getting a deal done.
We worked together to get the best deal we could do without breaking it.
You guys got to get a new microphone. I got an old Shure SM58. I will donate it to the city of Oakland, please.
Because sometimes you can break a deal, right?
With overwhelming support from council, the ordinance authorizing the sale of the city's ownership stake passed with a 6-1 vote. The sale now clears a major hurdle as Oakland looks to turn a long struggling property into a new economic engine.
Such a weird place it is. It was a football stadium and a baseball diamond, and now it just looks like an empty soccer field.
Now, under this agreement, if this new ownership is not able to keep up with its financial obligations, there is a path in which the city would have to retake their 50% ownership. But based on what we heard from city...
Oh, what is that? We're buying this thing on layaway?
Okay, if Irving Azoff is part of the group that's buying it, they're probably legit, though.
But that is an interesting idea. Okay, if you at some point you decide you cannot make payments anymore, well, the city, you're stuck holding the bag.
Great.
city council members earlier today. That doesn't appear to be a huge concern.
That was Brad Hamilton reporting. So back in May, Alameda County supervisors approved a non-binding deal to buy back the county's half of the Coliseum complex and then sell that stake to AASEG.
Okay, so now I've got it figured out. Bobbitt's buying the county's half and the city's half is going to this other group. This is still a convoluted mess, and part of the problem was everyone said it was such a mess to deal with because the county owned half and then the city owned half and the team owned part of it.
What a mess.
The county had previously sold their half of the site to the A's.
So there you go. That is the latest on apparently finally happening, the sale of the Oakland Coliseum 2 years after Sheng said it was going to happen.
That's right. I like that. That was amazing.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you're watching us live on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like. We're at 138 likes right now. We'd love to get that up north of 200 if that's possible to do before we sign off at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Coming up at midnight tonight, that's when the new Accountability podcast drops, where you can watch Barbara Ferrer and Karen Bass get cussed out in Boyle Heights. Randy, how are we doing with that?
We have 863 subscribers at youtube.com/@accountability-podcast. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. Hit subscribe, share it with your friends, especially anybody that wants to see us react to Barbara Ferrer and Karen Bass getting cussed out by the people in Boyle Heights. It is a special show, and it's something we could not do on the radio because there's all kinds of curse words in English and Spanish in it, but we have a lot of fun with it. It airs tonight. You can also listen to it on Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio, but watching it is the most important thing. And Johnny, we've got some incentives to get our subscriber numbers up to 1,000 and beyond that. If we can get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the week, we have a very special video we will premiere right here on the show, a visual representation of the famous Kathy caller from Malibu talking about Martha Stewart and Madonna. It is a riot. I have friends texting me for it, and I say, nope. Not until we get 1,000 subscribers. And we've got goals beyond that. I think when we get to 2,500 subscribers, we're going to give you your very own soundboard where you can play all the drops you want. Our top 100 drops of the show, you can play them on your own time and have lots of fun with them.
You can smell it right here.
That's one of the top 100. And I think John even thought of the idea, if we can get to 5,000 subscribers, we will do a podcast of the Accountability Podcast from the Tijuana River.
Bring a snorkel.
So hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends, your family, your social circles, any Facebook groups that you're into. Spread this show and the Accountability Podcast far and wide.
800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Here with an update on California's parole system, Mr. Randy Wang.
Okay, here's a special one. California wants to change what the meaning of life without parole means. For more on this, we go to ABC 10 in Sacramento.
Brewing over California's parole system.
Yeah, a group says new guidelines could create a pathway for some of the most violent offenders to get reduced time behind bars.
So I'm guessing whatever is done at sentencing doesn't mean a damn thing.
You see, this is why you need the death penalty, because life without parole doesn't actually mean life without parole.
C10's Garshpal Sangha joins us in studio now to explain what these regulations could do and why opponents are trying to stop them now. Garshpal.
Yeah, Laura, these regulations don't take effect until October, but opponents say if they wait until then, it could be too late. A nonprofit called the Criminal Justice Legal Foundation says it plans to file a lawsuit this week to block a new parole board regulation, arguing they create a new pathway for some long-term inmates to seek shortened sentences or clemency.
And don't think of just blaming some random bureaucracy here. Let's not forget, Johnny, who appoints the parole board?
That would be Gavin Newsom.
This is directly blood on Gavin's hands.
When I found out, my jaw dropped.
Anne Marie Schubert is the president of the Criminal Justice Legal Foundation and a former Sacramento County District Attorney. She argues the regulations could allow some people serving life without the possibility of parole to seek release.
Life without parole really should mean life without parole. We have
Isn't that the whole point?
If you're on the jury and that's what you're told the sentence is, usually that's what people think it means.
And in California, to get that sentence, we are only talking about the worst of the worst. That's who now we want to get out?
An administrative agency that is going to implement regulations that have a massive impact on sentencing in California. That's essentially rewriting sentencing laws that didn't go through legislative process.
State documents say the regulations create a structured process for eligible long-term incarcerated people to be considered for a recommendation to the governor or to a court for resentencing. It also says this isn't a parole hearing, and people sentenced to death, registered sex offenders, and several other categories are excluded.
There's some in this industry that believe that those individuals will sue because they think they should be included. So we're opening up this Pandora's box.
Oh boy, can you imagine that? Well, under equal protection, under the new regulation, I should be considered too, even though I'm on death row.
That's exactly what this state needs. More violent people out on the streets.
That is really going to destroy victims' rights.
Where are they getting this B-roll footage from?
I don't know. Don't they have enough money for shirts in the prisons?
Maybe they were playing shirts and skins poker.
Finality of sentences.
Schubert points to the 2009 murder of 8-year-old Sandra Cantu. Melissa Huckabee pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Schubert says that is one of the cases that could be impacted.
Horrible, horrific crime for a woman who should never be released from prison, period. That was part of the plea agreement. That is one of many, many cases that families and victims are really distraught about at this possibility that somebody could then be allowed to be released from prison.
I don't know when it happened, but the priority of the majority of the legislature and the priority of the governor and the priority of the bureaucracy is about the inmates, it's about the convicts, it's about the convicted, it's about the suspects, and they don't give a damn about the victims of these horrific incidents.
I think it's a couple of different things. I think one is when you think about elderly people, you think about people who are concerned about things like public safety. But I think that was something that was more unique to the greatest generation than to elderly people per se. And as those people died off and they were replaced by the flower children of the 60s, who are now the elderly people today, they have very different ideas as to what we should do to criminals. I also think that particularly since George Floyd, everything is racialized. Everything. So everything has something to do with some injustice, or you have to strive for some bastardized form of equity, which they interpret as releasing everyone from prison. And that's totally ridiculous. But when you see race in everything, you become paralyzed to deal with problems like crime and punishment. And that's what's gone on within the Democratic Party. And in a one-party state, that means they don't want to punish people when they break the law. And that includes people who are extremely violent.
Our goal is to raise the alarms, stop this madness, and tell these bureaucrats enough is enough, quite frankly.
Hey, we got one.
Right at the end.
If you ever wonder why it is I pick a specific story, sometimes it's that.
A news conference is scheduled for Wednesday where the family of Sandra Cantu and other victim families are expected to speak in support of the lawsuit. And we reached out to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. A spokesperson told ABC 10, quote, CDCR has not been served with this litigation and is not able to comment at this time. Laura.
All right, Garsh-Paul, thank you for that update.
So there you go. California Parole Board might change the definition of life without the possibility of parole. It doesn't get more California than that.
So screwed up. We've got one more hour coming up. Don't you go anywhere.
Speaking up in all caps. For those that don the red caps. It's the John Phillips Show.
And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
You know, this might be the best comment that explains what we've been doing here every single day from noon to 3. Gons writes in at YouTube, you guys are the best excuse to get absolutely nothing done between noon and 3. Johnny, we are broadcasting live on the radio on 790 KABC in Southern California and 810 KSFO in the Bay Area, but we are now also broadcasting live on video every single day. You can watch this show, react to the stories along with us, and participate in the lively chat room at youtube.com/@RandyWangRadio. You can also do a Google on the YouTube.
Do a Google on YouTube.
If you type in John Phillips Randy Wang, it should pop up. If you still can't find it, there's a link at KABC.com or KSFO.com. And if you still can't find it, send us an email at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and we'll point you in the right direction. We're also streaming on X at Johnny Don't Like, at Facebook at KABC Radio, Facebook at 810 KSFO, and Twitch at Randy Wang Radio. Watch along with us. We're having a hell of a lot of fun. And Johnny, it is very important that if people are watching and they're playing around the chat room, they also hit that like button.
We're also getting dangerously close to 900 subscribers for the Accountability Podcast.
The Accountability Podcast with John Phillips and Randy Wang. We have a brand new episode premiering tomorrow, and that episode is going to have John and I reacting to Barbara Ferrer and Karen Bass getting cussed out at the Boyle Heights Town Hall.
No, thank you.
It was so filthy, we could only do it on a podcast. So get subscribed, share it with your friends. The episode drops at midnight. We are currently at 878 subscribers. When we get to 1,000, we have a very special present for you, a world premiere video on the John Phillips Show, but not until we get to 1,000 subscribers on the Accountability Podcast. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now, youtube.com/@accountability podcast. Subscribe and share with your friends and your family and post it in any Facebook group that you're in. Help us blow up that internet.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. There is a kerfuffle going on right now in the city of Long Beach regarding advertisements that may not be age appropriate for school-age kids.
It's one of these things that once you see it, you don't unsee it. If you're driving around Los Angeles, you see all of these like vans or pickup trucks with a trailer attached, and the trailer attached just has a sign advertising like 4 Hands Massage, we will come to you, or advertise all kinds of hookup websites and hookup dates and all the stuff that they used to advertise on Craigslist and Backpage. Well, in Long Beach, somebody is taking one of these trailers with these signs advertising these adult websites, and they're putting them in front of a school.
Okay, how many customers could potentially be in a school?
Well, maybe they're targeting the teachers.
There's only like 1 or 2 custodians per school.
Look, I don't understand the target demo for this stuff. I've seen these things in Sherman Oaks across the street from the Whole Foods next to the 405 and the 101, and I'm always wondering, who is this for?
Okay, do you think that that's who they're targeting, or do you think that the guy whose job it is to drive that around just lives next to the school, so he just parks it there?
That's possible. I also wonder, how much could you possibly be making from, do you get paid by referral when somebody goes to the illicit massage parlor that's advertised on the back of a van?
You know where you see those all over the place is in Las Vegas on the Strip. The
And what
Strip
are they-
is filled with them.
Yeah, and what are they advertising?
Well, if they have 4 hands in Long Beach, they have 8 hands in Las Vegas.
Well, for more on this story in Long Beach, let's go to NBC in Los Angeles.
And we begin at 6 tonight with growing outrage over bright pink vans and trailers.
Oh, yeah, they're always the most gaudy colors and very distracting, and it is a strange thing. Obviously, these companies can't afford a billboard, so the next best thing, park a creepy van in front of the grocery store.
Great.
Throughout the city of Long Beach. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
I'm Jonathan Gonzalez. These vans are covered with signs with explicit messages. They've been spotted near homes.
Pinky's Girls? Adult fun?
Well, if you're a fan of the Friday movies, there was a character named Pinky. Remember him?
Oh, yeah. Now, I will say, you know, we are in the advertising business. Pinky, not the best use of your resources to be buying a sign on the back of a van. AM radio has a bigger reach than you know.
Well, Pinky doesn't have the funds of the ring finger.
Businesses and even schools.
People are now demanding that these vans be removed from the neighborhoods.
So what is this, a stripper thing?
I think
Prostitute?
so.
What's going on here?
Okay, school-age kids can't afford that.
NBC4's Alex Rozier joins us live from Long Beach with a response from the city. Alex.
Colleen and Jonathan, this is just one trailer parked at Cherry and Del Amo Boulevard promoting an adult website. It definitely...
Boy, these guys are getting all kinds of free advertising today.
Well, at least he spelled it correctly.
...is catching the eye of a lot of drivers here, and some people want the city to do something about it.
Rex Richardson ain't doing a damn thing about this.
Well, he might go to the website.
These eye-catching ads have people talking in Long Beach.
I have kids, so I don't like the advertising. I don't like that kind of advertising.
I like that guy's hat.
Yeah, he's dressed like a young Cal Worthington.
I think it's really inappropriate for a public space.
This trailer advertising what it calls adult fun and adult hookups is now parked at Cherry and Del Amo Boulevard. We're blurring the website address.
So they don't even have a phone number. It's just a straight internet operation.
Okay, how could you advertise for something that's illegal in the state of California?
Good question. Well, what I'm wondering is, there are certain rules and regulations you have to abide by when you are advertising, but does it count as advertising when you're just pulling up something that's on the back of a trailer attached to a pickup truck?
Okay, but let's just say that you're advertising for something else that's illegal. You're advertising for a hitman. They wouldn't allow that to be next to a school. That's illegal. You can't do that.
Don't give them any ideas.
It's not the only place we saw these ads in Long Beach. We also found these two vans parked a mile away.
How many of these are there?
Apparently, Pinky has a lot of girls.
Pinky is doing so well that they can pay for several vans, paint them pink, put up the sign. You know, I hate to put this out there to the audience, but if you want to email us anonymously, because we got a lot of listeners in Long Beach, and if you've ever called Pinky and you've been to Pinky and you've seen Pinky's Girls, just tell us exactly what's going on there. We'll keep your name anonymous, I swear.
By the way, do you notice in this frame that we now have on the screen that Pinky parked his vans next to the Cherry Car Wash?
Little on the nose, Pinky.
On Cherry Avenue. Long Beach Council member Tanua Thrash Intook represents the neighborhood where this trailer was dropped. She says her office has received nearly 100 complaints.
People are calling, people are placing things on social media, and just making it clear that, you know, they do not want this in their neighborhood.
NBC4 has not yet identified the owner of the website, but the registration on this van comes back to someone.
Boy, that is a trashed up van, all right. Looks like someone took a knife to both of the bucket seats. What is going on here? There is a seedy underbelly of this county, of this state, of people that are making their living doing this.
But this should be easy to shut down in one afternoon. If you're advertising for something that cannot legally be done in California, that's supposed to be underground. There's a reason it's clandestine. But if you just put it on a van in the middle of a big city and they just leave it there, and the city goes, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
They're dancing right on the line, I'm guessing, because if it was called Pinky's Whores, we'd know what was going on.
Named Sammy Amari. NBC4 investigators learned Amari
we got a comment I got to post on the screen here. This comes from Bruce, who writes in at YouTube, I wonder if Pinky is going to use lipstick bail bonds, which is a real company. We got a comment here from listener Go Hank who said, I'm sorry, guys. I have to leave the show. I need to go check it out.
Oh, yeah. That guy's going to end up with a virus on his laptop.
The John Phillips Show cannot be held responsible if you, the listening and watching audience, goes and visits Pinky's Girls. That's on you. We did not encourage you to do so.
At least 3 cities for First Amendment violations, including Long Beach. And in Long Beach, court papers reveal Amari won, and the city had to pay him nearly $300,000.
Okay, so now we know what this is. No. There are law firms that go around and they sue mom and pop small businesses that aren't ADA compliant. It's not someone in a wheelchair that couldn't get to a bathroom. It's a law firm that's a sleazy firm that makes their living suing small restaurants. What I think is going on here, I don't even think there is a Pinky. I think they're just putting those vans out there that are totally outrageous with the hopes that the city will force them to move the van, and then they can file a First Amendment lawsuit against the city and make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So this isn't a ADA troll. This is a First Amendment troll.
Yes.
That is a fascinating theory, because I got to imagine the $300,000 they got from the city of Long Beach is way more than Pinky's Girls could bring in a whole month.
Yeah, Pinky would have to turn a lot of tricks to make that kind of dough.
It would be really, really, really funny if there actually aren't any Pinky's Girls, and this is just how this firm knows how to successfully sue cities. That is great.
So the city attorney, the city manager is very well aware of who the actor is.
Today, NBC4 attempted to reach Amari, but did not hear back. The council member says she's still...
Alex, you might need to go into deep cover on this one.
You think so?
Exploring several ways to remove this trailer, including towing it when it's left here too long.
No trailer, no car should be inoperable on a public streets, not moving at all.
I would hold your words there. There's plenty of RVs that you could describe that very same way that you don't do a damn thing about.
Yep.
An extended period of time.
She says it's already been towed on several occasions, but it keeps coming back. She says she's also exploring...
I mean, now I understand how this guy was able to buy so many vans and trailers.
Yeah, winning that kind of lawsuit money.
$300,000 because they towed his Pinky. It's wild.
Exploring ways to keep it away from schools.
And I do not believe that that is the right audience or the most appropriate place to have a trailer like this. The main thing is that, this is the wrong community, the wrong place, and the wrong message.
What's the right community for this?
By the way, did you see that listener Bill just went to Pinky's website and just sent us a picture of one of Pinky's girls?
Oh, boy. Is that on the email?
Yeah. Bill.
All right. I'm looking at the email from Bill. Oh, my. Well, Pinky's got some girls, all right. Although that's pretty tame for the stuff that you see on, like, OnlyFans.
Well, maybe Pinky has the philosophy of why give away the milk?
What I will say is we are very appreciative of how this audience has turned into, overnight, a whole pack of investigative reporters.
Oh, yeah. We have a lot of Nancy Graces in the audience. No, Pinky's not giving away the milk. He wants you to buy the cow.
And we will not stop until we identify a solution that removes this kind of advertising in family-friendly neighborhoods.
We did hear from some community members who feel like the city has not taken enough action after their complaints.
Well, the city tried to do something, and it cost them $300,000.
Oh, yeah. If they force Pinky to move that, he's going to ding him for another $300,000.
I mean, this is a situation where I'm not blaming the city of Long Beach anymore. This is on the damn judges that made that call.
Idiots.
People who live near those vans a mile away on Cherry Avenue say those vans have been out there for several months, Jonathan and Colleen.
Alex, have we reached out to Long Beach Police? What are they saying?
The Long Beach Police did send me a statement this afternoon saying that they have also heard from the community, and they say that they will take enforcement action when appropriate. I asked them for specifics on that. They say if the vehicles are parked illegally, they will either cite the owner or tow them.
So there you go. I think you cracked the case on this one, Johnny.
Yeah, because if there was a Pinky, the news would have been right at his doorstep. And I guarantee you he would have been colorful.
Pinky's whole game is to get cities to complain about this, to try to get rid of these vans, to try to get rid of these trailers, and then sue the cities and win hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages on a violation of your First Amendment rights. What a racket.
So the consensus is to just leave it there.
I guess you can't win.
Okay, listener Bill just wrote back and said, I would call, but my wife would definitely get mad.
Well, we don't want you doing that. We appreciate people putting themselves in harm's way for this show, but don't ruin your marriage over trying to help us with a comedy bit that we're going to stop doing in about 2 minutes.
Yeah. Although we do appreciate the investigative journalism.
This audience full of little Bill Malusians out there and Alex Roziers and Ed Laskoses and Matthew Seedorfs. We've even got some Marvin Zindlers out there.
It's the John Phillips Show. I want to read for you a portion of a 5-star review for CarPro.com from listener Scott, who loved his experience with CarPro.com and Tustin Mazda. Scott writes, I followed the CarPro process and then called the dealership to get the process started on Thursday and spoke with Jim, who told me that he checked the pricing on the CX-5 that I wanted. On Friday, he called with pricing I wanted. I made the airline reservations for Saturday. Josh, Jim's associate, followed up with me in the morning, asked if we wanted to ride from the airport to the dealership, picked me up at the curb, took me to the dealer. 2 hours later, my wife and I were on our way to the beach with Chick-fil-A provided by the dealer. If you want this kind of VIP treatment and amazing pricing, go to CarPro.com, enter your zip code and what you're looking for. Or you can call or text message Tom Haynes, the Big Cheese, directly on his cell phone at 818-435-6797. Go to CarPro.com. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And if you're watching us perform the show live on YouTube, you can participate in the chat, and you can also click like to help share the show with others who are on YouTube looking for something to entertain themselves with.
It's either us or Pinky's girls. We're at 171 likes. Thank you so much. We'd love to get that to 200 by the end of the show. If you haven't hit the like button, it's that easy. Just hit the thumbs up. We appreciate it.
And Randy, tonight at midnight, the newest edition of the Accountability Podcast drops, and it is a humdinger.
Accountability.
John and I break down the uncensored video of Karen Bass and Barbara Ferrer getting cussed out in English and Spanish at the Boyle Heights Town Hall. And if you lived through the COVID nightmare that was Barbara Ferrer's lockdowns, you need to hear her react to somebody getting in her face at this town hall. It is delicious, and it is something that we could only do in the uncensored environment that we can provide you on the Accountability Podcast. You can subscribe right now for free. Hit the bell so it shows up in your phone as soon as it comes online at youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. I'm going to put a link in the chat once again. We really appreciate you subscribing, telling your friends, especially anybody that had to deal with Barbara Ferrer or Karen Bass. We're at 895 subscribers, Johnny, and that means we're 105 away from our big stretch goal. If we get to 1,000 by the end of the week, we've got a very special video world premiere that will happen on this show. The Kathy in Malibu video, we will play it, we will premiere it, and you can share it with all your friends of one of the craziest calls we ever got on this show in the last 8 years. But we're not premiering it till we get to 1,000 subscribers. So thanks in advance.
Now, I don't want to give too much away, but at this public forum in Boyle Heights where Barbara Ferrer got cursed out, she was seated on a panel with a bunch of other people. It wasn't her at the podium. And one of the angry members of the community called her out by name, started swearing at her, and then demanded that she respond to her accusations. That's when Ferrer grabbed the microphone, and that's when all hell broke loose.
It is delicious, and I can't wait for you all to watch it. YouTube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. If you want to listen on audio, you can do that as well. The Accountability Podcast is on Apple Podcasts, and it's on iHeartRadio. I can't get over the picture of you in the A's jersey. That's a good one.
You're used to seeing me in Angels gear.
Hey, we got a message here from Namaste. I lost my job and my family disowned because of Barbara Ferrer and the plandemic. I think she's going to be watching.
All right, we've got 30 more minutes to go on the John Phillips Show. Don't you go anywhere.
I love my Solaire infrared grill. I have had it for over a year, and I use it constantly to do the best job on steak, chicken, sausages, shrimp, veggies. It does such a great job. This is a hot and fast grill. The infrared technology means that it can get up to 1,000 degrees in just 3 minutes. My old grill, it would take about 20 minutes to get up to temperature, and then as soon as you lifted the lid, it went all the way back down to like 200. So you have to keep the lid down the whole time, and then when a flare-up happens, everything starts smoking, and you have to go get a cup of water to put out the fire. That doesn't happen on my grill. It's hot and fast. You leave the lid up the entire time, and you get a beautiful char on the outside, juicy meat on the inside. I love this grill. When it's time for you to upgrade your grilling game, check it out for yourself. Go to the website, besthotgrill.com/Randy. That's besthotgrill.com/Randy.
It's the John Phillips Show, 800-222-5222. If you are wanting to participate in the program over the radio, if you want to participate in the chat, you can do that on YouTube. And while you're there, you might as well click like as well so that we can push the broadcast on other eyeballs and get more people to join us each weekday from noon to 3.
Who let Zuma Dog in the chat?
Is Zuma Dog there?
Zuma Dog writes, that whole segment was dedicated to promoting their show, then another commercial break. WTF.
My goodness. Zuma Dog, of course, was a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, one of the leading voices in the Venice Beach area. So, longtime local political activist in Los Angeles. So, glad to have him with us.
We're glad to have everybody with us playing around in this chat room every single day from noon to 3.
All right. There are a bunch of California politicians who do not want, under any circumstances, the Warner Brothers Paramount merger to go through.
And one of those politicians just happens to be California Attorney General
Bob Bonta.
And
Bob Bonta
and 11 other attorneys general have sued to stop this mega merger between Paramount Studios and Warner Brothers Discovery. For more on this, we go to a report from Fox 11 in Los Angeles.
A dozen states have filed a federal lawsuit challenging Paramount's takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. They contend the mega merger will end up harming consumers and cost jobs. Fox 11 News at 5, simulcast on Fox.
If they actually merge, do they shut down one of the studios and move everyone to either Burbank or Hollywood?
I don't know how that works.
Fox 11 Plus, I'm Christine Devine. Fox 11's Rachel Aragon joining me now live outside of Paramount Studios with the update on our top story. Rachel.
Christine, we're told this lawsuit could be a major delay for this mega deal, of course, but we also know
And by the way, this is also somewhat of a negotiating tactic because there are certain attorneys generals like Rob Bonta that want to get some concessions out of Paramount, like getting them to spin off CNN and not own that as well as CBS News. And if they can delay this thing into September, that's when, according to the way this deal was written, Paramount has to pay like $100 million every single month to Warner Brothers every month this deal gets delayed.
There was a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, but there was a rumor that when General Electric was selling NBC to Comcast, and that one had to be approved by the government before that one would go through, that Al Sharpton was threatening to create all kinds of problems for them, that he didn't want it to happen, and he was going to be a thorn in their side. And they allegedly got him to back off by giving him a television show on MSNBC.
And here we are 20 years later, and Comcast is now getting out of the TV business, and they want to sell NBC Universal.
And Al Sharpton's on the weekends.
If it does in fact go through, there's still plenty of concern how it will impact the workforce here in Hollywood. And
You mean the workforce in Atlanta?
And New Mexico and mostly Canada.
Consumers when they head
IATSE can't get up to Canada.
to the theaters.
The resulting behemoth.
Wait, when did all his hair go white?
And that is a strange, strange trend. His hair was not that white not that long ago.
No. Maybe he used some of that dong money for dye.
Every type of leadership is about meeting the moment and rising to the occasion. And this is what's required. And so we're stepping up and getting it done.
It was a little on the nose to have him do this presser in front of the Hollywood sign, which I'm sure the neighbors loved.
Oh, yeah.
Beechwood Canyon can't stand the tourists. They definitely can't stand if the AG and a bunch of news cameras go up there.
Yeah, imagine having this jackass standing out in front of your house.
1/3 of theatrical motion pictures.
Standing behind the iconic Hollywood sign, Attorney General Rob Bonta announcing California, along with other states, are suing to block the proposed mega merger between Paramount Skydance and Warner Brothers Discovery.
It is funny how Skydance buys Paramount and immediately borrows more money to try to buy Warner Brothers. It's like private equity in action in the movie business.
He should have had this press conference out in front of Pinky's van.
You want to walk? I won't hold it against you.
$110 billion deal, which Bonta claims violates federal laws by eroding competition. And he says it could lead to higher prices for consumers.
And apparently this is a very narrow lawsuit because they're not alleging that this would create a monopoly in the streaming market, because the streaming market is dominated by Netflix and notably YouTube, where we're broadcasting right now. 13% of all screens watched, I believe, are on YouTube. 9% are on Netflix. The lower level streaming services like Paramount, like HBO, like Peacock, they are just barely making a dent in those. What the lawsuit is alleging is that this creates unfair competition and a monopoly in specifically the movie distribution side of it.
Okay, but it's not the movie tickets that are expensive at the movie theater, especially on Tuesdays. How about the popcorn? You want to talk about something that's bad for consumers? Paying $8 for a small bag of popcorn would be it. Why don't they investigate Orville Redenbacher?
Well, if you pay $9, they let you get the giant one, and you get unlimited refills.
They'll have fewer discounts to offer. They'll have fewer new releases to show. While ticket prices will most likely go up.
This is fully in the court's hands, and they definitely have a lot to think about.
Page 6 media reporter Kathy Steffen says a major impact of this proposed deal is the number of California jobs at stake.
When two companies that have very significant overlap in their operations come together, that means there's also going to be significant cuts because they don't want redundancy.
Well, we do know that happens. We're in radio, and we know it happens after this industry got deregulated in 1996.
Oh, yeah. You don't need 2 HR departments. You don't need 2 accounting departments. You don't need 2 community affairs. Actually, you don't even need 1 anymore. But you know how that goes.
Last month, LA County's Department of Economic Opportunity released a report claiming the merger places nearly 2,500 redundant positions in the county at risk. In a statement, Paramount Skydance argues delaying this transaction will only harm entertainment workers who have already suffered over recent years.
See, they're saying if you don't let us do this, we're never going to be able to compete with Google and Netflix, which they also threatened to leave the state of California. How are they going to get the whole studio to just lift up out of Hollywood and go?
Them too.
They claim a Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery merger is better positioned to compete with companies like Netflix that have come to dominate the industry.
Isn't it interesting how you go back to right before COVID, and that's when all of these studios decided to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars launching all of their Netflix killers. Peacock, HBO Max, Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and they all lost money immediately and now are in the business of selling their content back to Netflix because turns out that was the better business model to begin with.
Paramount is making the argument that Netflix and other prominent streamers like Apple already have a monopoly, and that by allowing...
I love all the content on Apple. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. Apple is not a prominent streamer.
Netflix is the biggest one by far.
Apple has great content. I'm a huge fan of all of it, but they don't have that many people watching it, and they don't care. They do it for the awards.
Who's the next closest one to Netflix? Is it Disney?
Well, Disney, if you combine, and this is why they're actually merging Hulu and Disney Plus, because Disney Plus on its own wasn't it. It's a huge jump, though. Netflix, especially worldwide, is massive, and the other streamers are barely close. And even Netflix is still losing out to people going on YouTube, which is why, and this is true, Netflix has now started buying podcasts. Hey, Netflix, you want to give us a call?
allowing them to proceed.
They already put Charlemagne the God on Netflix.
Did they?
Yes.
With this merger, it's actually preventing an existing monopoly. So it's really interesting that the same argument is being used from 2 different sides of the same battle.
And the Writers Guild of America, the labor union representing so many workers here in this industry, also releasing a statement today saying, again, they commend this lawsuit and this move, and they fear the deal does go through. They worry it will impact workers' wages as well as job opportunities.
Well, whatever you do, don't strike again. That was a disaster.
You notice, by the way, that Bonta is down in Southern California to make his way into the news, and he chose Hollywood, and he chose this subject as opposed to going to Boyle Heights, where there is an environmental disaster that's making people sick.
Well, he probably forgot his gas mask.
You can smell it right here.
Pre-live in Hollywood, I'm Rachel Aragon. I'll send it back to you.
Rachel, there's an issue here also with the shareholders.
Correct. When it comes to the Warner Brothers shareholders, this deal really, and this lawsuit especially, Christine, throwing a wrench into all this because the deal was supposed to, I believe, go through at the end of September, more or less, give or take. And if it doesn't, that could impact these shareholders financially. As we know, with any lawsuit or legal issue, it does delay things, right? So there's a little bit of a race to get this finished across the finish line, but ultimately it will be in the hands of the courts.
Okay, we're watching. Rachel, thank you.
I'll tell you, whether there's merit in this lawsuit or not, this definitely is not a deal that is getting done by September, which means that Paramount's going to have to pay through the nose in order to get this thing across the finish line.
Probably.
So they might, even though it might not be right, they may need to call Bob Bonta and try to make a deal.
This is emblematic, though, of what we're seeing in other industries, which is that industries that people associate with the state of California are leaving company after company after company, and there's just no end in sight. And I don't think the entertainment industry will be any different. We know that the shooting is already largely gone to other states and other countries, but many of these movie houses, they're still headquartered here, but they don't necessarily have to be. And if we continue to be a thorn in their side, then maybe they'll leave too, like the oil companies and the banks and the technology companies.
Well, considering who some of the majority investors are in this deal, it's very possible that Paramount, once they finish this deal, will leave Los Angeles and go to Saudi Arabia, who's going to be one of the majority shareholders.
It's possible. It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
All right, I got a couple of emails to point in here. First off, Robert writes in and says, I thought you guys were having a Whirl premiere. But we have, and we'll occasionally do this if you are an artist and you want to demonstrate your work here on the show. We are sometimes more than happy to oblige. Listener John writes in of a picture of Karen Bass standing over the corpse flower, declaring that the stinky flower air is totally fine. That is fantastic.
How are we doing on the subscriptions to the Accountability Podcast and the likes on today's show?
Let's check it out. So today's total, we need to get to 1,000 subscribers before you get the Kathy video, and we have a brand new episode of the show posting tomorrow. We're at 909 subscribers, so we're getting real close, 91 to go. When it comes to likes for today's show, which is really easy, hit the thumbs up button if you're watching us right now. If you're watching us later on, hit that thumbs up button. We're at 202.
All right. Well, we beat 200, which was the goal for today. All right. We know that local governments here in the state of California are obsessed with bike lanes. They want you out of your car. They want you riding the metro. And if you're unwilling to ride the metro, they want you to go to work on your bicycle, which means they want to build more bike lanes. And Randy, in Sacramento, because they want people to use those bike lanes, one of the things that they're now doing is cracking down on motorists who park their car in the bike lane.
And they're using AI, the same technology that makes John look like he plays for the Oakland A's, to generate parking tickets. Here is ABC 10 in Sacramento.
New at 6, drivers in Sacramento illegally stopped in bike lanes will now be cited.
And the city says those citations will be issued using AI. ABC 10's Peter Warner has more on what it could cost.
The city of Sacramento has partnered with Hayden AI, an artificial intelligence company, to enforce traffic and parking violations.
I wonder how much money they're getting for this, and is it going to be more money than they're actually going to raise from these tickets?
Probably.
So that was the problem with the red light camera program. Even though it was declared unconstitutional in some jurisdictions, it cost more to administer than the money they were bringing in.
This really wasn't a possibility until state law changed. So AB 361 was passed in 2023 and went into law January 1st, 2024. And the first to take it on was actually Sacramento Regional Transit.
City buses added a front-facing camera that detected bus and bike lane violations. Since launching in 2025, the system has issued over 32,000 bus stop violations and over 25,000 bike lane violations. That same technology will now be on the front of 3 traffic enforcement vehicles.
Okay, I guess the technology is coming for us after all.
Okay, so I wonder if it's only for gross violators or if this is like Wimbledon and it's on the line, it counts.
So there's a front-facing camera. So just like you and I
These are the same cameras they want to put in front of buses to see if anybody is actually in the bus-only lane.
on our video is what it's doing is just recording. So it's actually showing that the car is in the bike lane.
That is all that these new AI enforcement cameras will do.
And I want to make
DoorDashers are going to get so many tickets.
Oh, this is going to be awful for them.
Make it very clear, state legislation only authorizes the city to use this for those who park in bike lanes.
And if your car is parked in a bike lane just like this, and it's especially near school
Well,
zone.
now you're narking on this guy. What up?
How much do you think this is going to cost Amazon for those delivery vans?
Well, they don't even worry about parking in the bike lane. The Amazon vans just double park all the time, blocking the road. Happens on Van Owen every single day. And everyone's like, well, I got to get my packages, so I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I want my cheap crap from China.
I'm glad you said crap. We're not on the podcast.
I know.
You have an increased chance of getting a ticket from this new AI enforcement.
Over the last 2 months, 75 warnings were given out. Now, those warnings will become citations, and any citation that is flagged by the AI software will be reviewed by a set of human eyes.
At least that one's a fairly obvious sign that just says no parking at any time. The problem you have in places like Los Angeles is there's 15 different signs that tell you when you cannot park there, and you have no idea, and then you get a ticket and you have no idea why.
Somebody might say, oh, this is just a way of, to get more money for the city of Sacramento. In actuality, I wish I didn't need this. I wish people just didn't park in bike lanes.
But to Kaplan, safety is the primary goal of this new form of enforcement.
Well, I am hoping that we can maybe change behavior and people don't park in bike zones near our schools, and that we see a reduction in pedestrian and bicycle accidents.
In Sacramento, Peter Warner, ABC 10.
Now, that's one of the statistics that they'll always put in for why we need things like this, because there's so many pedestrian injuries and fatalities. But, John, what did we learn from Karen Bass herself about what really is in those statistics up and down the state of California?
It's all the homeless that are getting run over.
Because they jump out in the middle of the street in the middle of the night.
And keep in mind, city officials say they will only keep video if a citation is issued. In case of an appeal, the fine for these new citations will be $150.
Before, all the added fees. But there you go. That is what's going on in Sacramento. We got a message on the chat here. Why are they going to issue tickets when the little bastards take over the street? That is a great point, Eddie. Casey writes in and says, let's be real. How many people are actually riding bikes? I never see anyone in the bike lanes. There is a bike lane on the street near my house. I have never seen anybody in it once. I have seen a lot of dents in the bollards, though.
No, in big cities, maybe in San Francisco, you could make the case. But it's got to be a primarily East Coast thing where you have big vertically built cities. And, okay, it's possible to bike from your office to your home or from your home to the gym or whatever. In California, we're built horizontally. If you live in Claremont and you work in Huntington Beach, you cannot ride your bike there. And it's impractical to think that someone would. All right, that's it for us today. Tonight at midnight, Randy, that's when the Accountability Podcast drops.
You can watch us go through Karen Bass and Barbara Ferrer getting cussed out. It goes live at midnight, youtube.com/@accountabilitypodcast. I'm going to put that link in the chat one last time. Thank you all so much for watching and participating in the show. We're here live every single day from noon to 3 at youtube.com/@Randy Wang Radio and KABC and KSFO.
See you mañana.